Hey, welcome in Huntsville. Another wonderful good morning to you. Thanks for waking up with us.
What do you love about Huntsville? What makes this a great place to be?
Everyone here is very genuine and very kind and friendly. You never hesitate to speak up and say hello or good morning or just acknowledge the person walking by.
The thing that I love most about Huntsville, I love the peace that Huntsville brings. I love the peace that it gives me.
I feel accepted and part of the town and like I belong here.
Huntsville is where my lovely wife lived when I met her, so I moved here. So I'm pretty thankful for her.
For you in Huntsville, Texas.
Love that intro. Good morning, everybody. Obviously, I'm not Rob Hibb, but I do have a surprise for you. He's still with us here this morning. Let me bring him on real quick. Today is actually a very special day for this man, and so he made contingencies to make sure everybody still gets their positivity that they need each and every morning. So this guy was nice enough to ask me to fill in his spot. But Rob, please share with us what today means for you.
Hey, man. Well, first of all, Garrick, thanks for filling in and for being here. You know, you're a beacon of brightness in Huntsville, man. That's a new phrase, Garrick. That just
I like
popped
that.
in my head.
Beacon of brightness.
Beacon of brightness. But yeah, man, excited today. A little bit later on this afternoon, our new little baby boy will be here. So we're probably going to be having to leave for the hospital about 10:30 this morning. So all week long, it'll be you, Garrick, taking the helm. And man, I appreciate it. You know, normally our friends from Walker County Federal Credit Union are here with us on a Monday, and they're not going to be here this morning, but we appreciate them and their sponsorship every Monday. But Garrick, I appreciate you, man. Like I said, it's going to be a fun week, and you're going to hold down the helm, and it's all going to be done remotely.
Listen, I've got this. I know we're not at the Elliott Jewelers studio downtown Huntsville, but you know what? It's still going to feel like we are. But no, you're talking about our Foundation 5 sponsor, Walker County Federal Credit Union. I know Karen was not able to join us this morning. She did send me a text saying, I go to bed early on Sunday nights, Garrick, so you need to get a hold of me a little bit sooner. But I love Walker County Federal Credit Union. I have several accounts with them. My truck is financed through them. I've had 2 personal loans. I have a banking account with them. You know, I've done anything and everything through them, and they've been a huge help for me in the past couple of years. So if you are looking for a bank, Walker County Federal Credit Union is the place to go, and they'll tell you that as long as you live, work, worship in Walker County, you are qualified to have an account with them. So
yeah, it's good, and we appreciate them. And Garrick, again, appreciate you. Also, our friend Paul Oley joining in already. I won't see Paul this week. It's been a little bit warm with the summer already trickling in and everything. And so Paul, we're right there next to the gallery and appreciate him. And we wouldn't be able to bring you the show also without Paul there. That's where our studio is. We work in collaboration with Paul over at the gallery. So good morning to you. And also Santa George joining us. You're going to see a lot of Santa George this week, Garrick. He's over at
Listen, I can't
Conroe,
wait.
but he always brings a little holiday cheer to everybody, man.
I'm already feeling it because his profile picture is of Santa. So I'm already feeling it, man. So, but no, let me introduce y'all to another friend of mine. This is Sammy. He's going to be hanging out with us all day today. When I got started here at the bookstore, the very first thing I did was actually pull this Sammy off the floor because he's still wearing blue, which is no longer one of our colors. He has a Southland patch on him, and we were already in the wax. So, but this is something I could not trash. I had to keep this Sammy. So
it's a little nostalgic. Garrick, I hope people don't mind. If you look behind me, this is kind of my little home, studio office in progress. There's a green and yellow jersey back there behind me in front of that old vintage Mac computer. I hope folks in the Huntsville area don't mind seeing that word back there that's behind me. Is that coming across your screen straight? It is. Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
So yeah, hopefully folks want that. That is an Easton Stick signed jersey, by the way.
Okay, Easton Stick. So obviously we were not paying attention to the players up there because we don't care about green and yellow, but please tell us who he is.
Yeah, star quarterback for the Bison, a couple of national championships under his belt, and plays in the NFL now. He's a backup there for the Chargers. So, it's cool to have his jersey. There's a football up there as well. It's kind of hard to see, though. And then my good buddy Matt McRobert actually gave me an FCS national championship football. So that's another one that's there. And then next to it is a Sam Houston football that Matt McRobert signed and gave to me. So I still got a couple of Bearcat memorabilia hanging up there on the back of the wall, man.
Are you wearing your ring right now?
No,
Do you
I'm
have
not.
your championship ring on?
I'm not, man.
Are you going to be
Normally it
wearing it when your baby's born today?
Yes. Normally when I leave the house, that ring goes on, and it always stays with me.
Well, that's good because I remember exactly what I was wearing when my firstborn came into the world. I was wearing my favorite football jersey at the time. It was an Andre Johnson jersey. I had pants. I had my cowboy boots on. I knew exactly what I was wearing because this is what I wanted to be wearing when my child came into the world, So I would think that ring should be a part of it.
Oh, it is. And as the summer goes on, I'm going to, in Fargo, I wasn't allowed to wear it, by the way. It was one of those things. Yeah, the GM up there, love the guy. He's a friend of mine now. And when I did my interview, we had it was almost a year ago today. It's kind of crazy to think about that. But as we were up there, I was doing the Zoom remote interview, in fact, in this same room, but I didn't have all the stuff behind me. And I had my ring on. And so after the interview, he goes, "How do you think everything went?" I said, "Man, I think it went great." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Things are looking really good." He goes, "The only feedback that I have for you, Rob, is don't wear that Sam Houston ring the next time you see us in person." So it stayed in a box. It was put away for a while, and now it's back, and I'm excited because as the summer goes along, I'm going to start to develop that tan line where the ring sits. So appreciate the university for hooking us up with that. Brian Adams, he wears his. In fact, his is starting to get banged up quite a bit because I don't think he ever takes the thing off.
I think it would be kind of hard to take it off, but I do understand protecting it and treasuring it, because it's a once in a lifetime sort of thing,
Yeah,
So
no, it is. Typically too, Garrick, and again, appreciate you, hosting this week, and you're going to be on all week. I'm only on today, and then the rest of the week we're going to be on baby duty, so I probably won't be hopping in. But we typically have guests lined up all week. We had Carmen Irving that was planning on being with us. I'm not sure. I don't believe she's probably going to be with us here this morning, but we'll have her on at a later date, as we had some folks that were going to join us today. She's with the Roxy Douglas Scholarship Foundation, but again, I don't believe she will be joining us this morning. If she does hop in, we'll see her. But just one of those weeks where we wanted to keep the show. The old phrase in the media industry is the show must go on. And Garrick, you had asked me a month ago. You said, "What's going to happen when that baby gets here?" I said, really, the show's going to continue somehow. And then you said, well, let me host it. And you and I worked together previously when I was at the radio station calling Bearcat games, and you were my producer. And so I didn't have a problem at all. I said, you know what, Garrick's done this. He knows what's up. And so proud to have you this week and being a part of it. The only thing that we may not have this week, and still kind of working on some of the logistics of that just for this week, is we probably won't have the prize text line. If we do, it'll be a grand prize on Friday. And so you and I can collaborate with that a little bit down the road.
That works. I think that's a good idea. It's funny you talk about that. So this is like a fun passion of mine, hosting, producing, but that's originally what brought me to Sam Houston. Is I was coming for the radio television program here at Sam Houston within the Dan Rather building and the communications building. It was, I don't know, I did theater in high school. I enjoyed speaking. And so this was something that I really wanted to learn. And I got so lucky that they removed the program as soon as I got here. So I had to take a complete detour on what I was going to do. But no, I've enjoyed working with you in the past. You're always fun. You keep it light and bright. And this doesn't feel like work. I'll say it that way. I don't like the mornings. I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning. I didn't sleep a wink last night because I was so excited to do this. But I'm more energized right now than I have been like on an 8-hour sleep, so this is great. But let's get the people to know a little bit more about who Rob Hip is. So
no, man, they know me.
Yeah, no, listen, they know how awesome you are. They know that you have an incredible voice. You have the talent and you want to bring recognition to our young athletes in the area. But how did you get started broadcasting? I know it started back in Georgetown, but how did you get started doing that?
Yeah, man, it's I'm a big believer that God puts things in your heart for a reason and talents. And so I always encourage folks out there that, maybe today you're waking up this morning and you've got a talent that you just feel like you're not utilizing. A friend of mine, I'll go back to this, Garrick. A friend of mine years ago, we used to just get in our vehicle and drive. And this was like pre-GPS back in the day. I mean, GPS been around since the 80s, let's be honest, but nobody had access to it on a consumer level or on a civilian level. Reagan made GPS kind of the norm. He said, let's release this to civilians. And that's how GPS became so prominent. It really started back in the late 80s, early 90s. But we used to just get in our car and drive, my buddy Kenny and I. And I remember one day we were talking about work, and Kenny was saying, I'm not really happy with what I'm doing. I'm kind of in this, I don't know what you call it, really just mundane workflow every day. And I don't really feel like I'm utilizing my passion and what I love. And he's a big music guy. And I said, you know what, Kenny, why don't we just, I think, and this word came to my heart, pursue your passion, not an unknown future. And that's stuck with me now. I mean, my goodness, I'm almost 40, and that word kind of came out of my mouth at 20. So, 20 years later, that phrase still echoes true. And I kind of feel like that's my life mission, man, now is just, of course, I love broadcasting. My hope and dream is one day to be back in a college football and basketball broadcast booth somewhere. But I really feel like the mission in my life is just to encourage others, man, to pursue their passion. Whatever's in your heart, man, that's been placed there for a reason. And so, long story short, I had an IT company for 14 years. It just started by accident, really, in high school. I was repairing computers for teachers, and that turned into a business. And I always had this passion, though, when I was young, that somehow I wanted to be involved in broadcasting. I used to walk around the neighborhood, and I'd carry around a little I don't even know what you call it, man. Like a spiral notebook, I guess you could say. I'd carry it around. I'd pretend like I was reporting the news in the neighborhood when I was like 7 years old. And my mom even has some early pictures of me. I couldn't read the paper, of course, but when I was a little toddler, I used to just lay in the living room floor, like and look at the newspaper. And so just that was always put into me as a young age, man, that I wanted to be involved in media at some capacity. And as I got older, I just this IT company started by accident, did it for 14 years. And I just started realizing, my real passion was broadcasting. Got hooked up with a great group of guys, an organization called KMAX Sports, Chuck Licata. I don't give him enough credit, really, because Chuck kind of gave me a door to broadcast and to do what I do. And so I'm really thankful for Chuck and all that he did in my life early on. And he allowed me to broadcast high school sports, and we had an opportunity to cover Georgetown, where I grew up, and so that was under my own wing. And so split away from those guys, and because we just wanted to cover Georgetown. And so I was able to do that, cover a little 3A school called Gerald with SHN Sports. And that's really how all that got started. Met a guy named Bill Schoening, the voice of the Spurs. In fact, I've got Manu's jersey behind me. I had Manu sign that for me before a game one day, and Bill has became a great friend and a mentor. And he told me, he said, Rob, it's going to be hard for you to probably get in with some of these stations in the Austin area. He goes, why don't you just go out and create your own thing? And so his son and I became best friends. We created our own organization called SHN Sports, and that really opened up the doors. And Garrick, I gotta step aside because sometimes I'm really hard on myself, and my friends have told me this, and I'm not saying it for myself, but my friends have told me this. They said, quit beating yourself up, man, because 10 years ago, you hadn't even called a game.
Right.
And so I'm very thankful for the privilege, in the last 10 years to just really start out covering small high schools, and then, broadcasting at the Division III level with Southwestern University there in my hometown and back in Georgetown. And as it went on, man, just eventually connected to Huntsville, to Sam Houston State. It was always my dream and desire to broadcast Division I. And then, things with Braylon, when she came along financially, we just needed more of an opportunity at the time. And I really thought we were going to stay in Fargo, man, for the next 15 years until the next door opened up. And, today, coming up a little bit later this afternoon, is the reason that we moved back. We wanted to be close to family, and we were thankful to be up there at North Dakota State. But, it's just a journey, man. I want to encourage people this morning, Garrick. This show is all about lifting folks up here in our community. I want to encourage folks this morning, again, to pursue your passion, not an unknown future. And if you pursue your passion, sure, you got to pay your bills and you got to find a way to take care of things. But I also truly believe that whenever we're in our passion, we're in our true calling, and that everything works out. And so when we had the opportunity, to start looking at coming back here to Huntsville, it was weird because you would think, I'm coming from a job where it was everything that I'd really dreamed of to be. I mean, Huntsville, I'll be honest, was everything that I dreamed of. We had no plans of leaving this community in the first place. But whenever I got up to Fargo, I was like, man, this is great. We're on 25 stations. We're doing stuff on ABC television with coaches shows, surrounded by incredible folks up there, just like here in Huntsville. But things change and life changes. And so it's weird, Garrick, because you would think that, you go from finally having your career and where you feel like this is everything has led up to this point. Financially, things are great, and you finally have insurance and all those perks that come with some jobs. And then we decided, hey, you know what? The biggest thing though is missing. And when we found out we were having Caden, we decided, you know what? Family is the most important. And
Absolutely.
we're going to find a way to make it work back in Huntsville. So literally what I'm getting at, the point of all of this is when you're in your passion, and as a person of faith too, I believe that is the biggest thing. It's the first time that I came, back here with literally, I mean, yeah, I'm concerned about things because you got to take care of your family, but I just felt at peace with it, Garrick. It's weird going from like, what are we going to do? I didn't have anything lined up here in Huntsville. The only thing we had lined up was great friends and relationships that we had built. And that's why it's important to always try to reach out and to extend a hand of support to people and encourage people and lift them up, because those relationships are so important in life. And it's not for your own benefit, it's to benefit others. Biggest thing is I carry this around with me. This is a little glass tube here. And a lady had given me this years ago, and it's hard to see on this, cheap webcam that I have. But there is one little mustard seed inside of this little glass jar. And that's all it takes, man. The Bible talks about having that little bit of faith. All it takes is the faith and the size of a mustard seed. In fact, I came across a guy the other day that had one of these and it was completely full. And I was like, dude, you need to give some of those away. It just takes one. You don't need 1,000 of those things in there. But that's kind of the long story, man, is just staying in faith and being passionate about what you do. And, this platform here, we created it to lift up this community, not for us, but to highlight everyone else around. And here we are, 65 episodes into it. And we just want to continue to be that beacon in the community as a platform beacon for other organizations to shine their spotlight. Man, I've learned so many from so many folks, like First Touch Family that we had on Chrissy on Friday. I had no idea about their organization. And hearing from Dell Enderlin with Operation Red Wings Foundation, having folks from the Elks Lodge come in. I mean, there's so many nonprofits in our community and organizations and people that we need to lift up that It's great. It's great. And I think we're going to continue to be able to do that. Someone had told me, Garrick, it was funny, and many that watch this show have heard this story, but they said, Rob, how are you going to continue to have content you're going to run out of content? I said, no, we're not. There's 250 plus nonprofits in Huntsville that are in good standing. And there's enough that happens in our community that's good that we could literally talk about it 24/7, 365 if we wanted. So that's kind of the long story short, man. It's always fun to share that journey, just in the hopes that somebody out there this morning is saying, I need to take that leap of faith myself. And so I just encourage you, do it. Whatever ideas you have, just do it, and you'll find a way to make it work. Justin Killingsworth always says it best. If you don't know, man, I always get it mixed up. My memory is so bad. He says, if you don't try, you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna take you a couple steps back. You said something about how you've been in the game for less than 10 years broadcasting,
Mhm.
but you yourself have already broadcasted a national championship game. Like, that's huge. That's something that broadcasters, they could be doing it for 10, 20, 30, 40 years and never get that opportunity. Not because that they're not good, but just the team that they are broadcasting doesn't get to that point. So that is something that you've already got to experience. But then you have done so well within your career that you got the call to step up. It's like going from double A to triple A, right? If you think about it, going from Sam Houston up to, I don't want to say it, but going up to Fargo, that was a big stepping stone. That was a big stepping stone in a career, man. And so that was something that you earned because what, they had almost 1,000 applicants for that.
No,
So,
it'd be cool if they did. They had 74 from what I was told for that one, but
oh,
still, it
so
was.
I extremely over exaggerated that. Listen, I'm just trying to pump those numbers up, but still, 74 applicants. You're the one guy who got chosen, and then that's a high class organization. Like, don't get me wrong, we don't like them, but we don't like them because they're so darn good, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
Garrick, I
you
appreciate
got
that.
to go up there. You got to experience, what that next step is, what that next level is. And then you came back with this idea, this vision, and honestly, this brand that you've been holding on to take what you learned up there to create something amazing down here. And you're absolutely right about the community, because I came here for college, left, and then came back. And even when I was gone, it was always been like, man, I miss it up there. It was nice. And I think we're growing at the rate that we should be. Like, it's exponential, to be honest with you, but everything's coming in stride. And I'm excited for what this community is going to become because we have plenty more growth coming. But you're absolutely right. There's so many different good things going on in this community that need to be showcased. The stories need to be told. And I'm very happy that you're doing it. And I'm just lucky that I'm along for the ride for it, man. So you're doing some amazing, beautiful things. And it's not because you're having to push or force yourself to it. It's just, it comes natural to you because that's the human being that you are, man. So we're lucky to have you in this community. And truthfully, thank you for coming back. We had a hole in our hearts, man. We had a hole in our hearts because we were missing out on Rob Hitt, So,
Well, Garrick, I appreciate that, man. I don't like to hype up what I do or anything, but I appreciate you, man. And at the end of the day, you're right. It's all about just having. I always say it on this show almost every morning is waking up with the attitude of gratitude, and I always encourage folks. For those of you that are joining us this morning, let us know what you're thankful for. Those comments are already coming in today, and we appreciate folks here in this community. But you're right, Garrick, and those are some things because I feel like sometimes maybe you feel like life didn't work out the way that you wanted, but you have to step aside and take a look back. And I was talking to a really good friend of mine, Jeff, yesterday. He is the voice of Texas Tech for men's basketball and does some baseball there. And he said tomorrow, which is now today, is the most important day of your life. And he goes, don't worry about the headset. Don't worry about your job and what you have to do. He goes, the best day of your life is starting again tomorrow. And he goes, realize how blessed you are with your family, with your children and all that. And so I think those are the most important things that whenever we step back and look at that, that really is what's most important, Garrick. And, earlier, whenever you said, broadcasting a national championship, that was something that I didn't take for granted. I was only in the booth. I believe that was the second year at Sam. And now, getting to call another national championship with North Dakota State just in that first short year that I was there, I don't take that for granted. Now, folks in Fargo, they'll say, Rob, we went 9 times and we won 9 times before. And the moment you show up, we don't win that 10th one. But I don't take that lightly, man. And I'll be honest with you, it was really, really, really tough to leave here in the first place. We love this community. Huntsville is one of those places. I say it all the time, and folks know that watch this show that you can literally hug people and tell them you love them in Huntsville. And I'm going to say that until the day that I depart from this earth. But it's a community where you can embrace people, where you can be yourself, and people respect that. And I think that's what makes this community so special. And going up there, meeting so many great people and working with a great organization. And I'll be honest, I do feel bad though, because I know that those folks invested a lot in having me come up there. And, good friends that I made along the journey, Tom Bowman, he's the VP of broadcasting with Learfield. I remember calling him and I was telling Bridget, I said, the scariest thing about wanting to come back is I don't want to let anybody down up here, because I know the journey of getting here was so incredibly tough. And I'm not knocking anybody, especially young people, but there's a journey that a lot of people have to go through. And I know veteran broadcasters will look at my journey and say, we wish that ours would have been that easy. But I think it's easy to look and, for me, only being in the game for 10 years now, calling 2 national championships, being able to be a part of one of those, luckily for Sam Houston, winning that one. But there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes. Folks will see that and say, well, Rob just hopped in here and he's broadcasting. But, I didn't have the journey of going to college. And I want to encourage folks today that, maybe I don't ever knock on education at all. But I feel like if you have a talent and you're ready to go, just go for it. I do think that education is extremely important. I had a teacher in high school, Garrick, tell me that it was time. She goes, look, I may get in trouble for saying this to you, but she goes, you need to start your business right away. And she's really the one that motivated me to get my IT company started and run that business for 14 years. And so there's a lot behind the scenes that folks don't realize. As a young person, maybe in your early 20s, and you think you've had a tough road going to college and all that, I'm going to tell you there's a lot more to life. And it takes a while to really get the ball turning sometimes and to get things going. And so I don't knock that at all. I think it's important. And if you have an opportunity for an extended education, by all means go, because statistics show that you've got a better chance at making a good living, if you've got that degree behind you. So I don't knock that at all. I just had a really, I guess, uncharacteristic or uncommon journey on this path, you could call it. And again, where I'm getting at is behind the scenes. I think sometimes, I'm hard on myself, but then I've got to realize, there was 14 years prior to this. There was blood, sweat, and tears that I had to put in through having a business in high school and learning how to grow that and expand it and dealing with hardships and employees. And we had great people. And, at one point, 2 locations and 13 guys that I was responsible for. And I took that to heart too. And I think it helped me in a way, Garrick, because sometimes when you get involved in an industry, if you've worked in that industry, you kind of take on what the industry has done for so many years. And so for me, I never really had radio experience. So I came in with a whole new, fresh set of vision of how I thought things should run, how important it is to be involved in the community. Our local high school here in Huntsville, how important it was to bring video to those young people, to lift them up, to give people a new way to experience things. And so, again, just go for it, man. Be humble along the journey. Always acknowledge others. I always say it at the end of every broadcast that we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. And I mean that. And so if somebody reaches out and they want to help you in your journey, make sure to acknowledge that. Steve Everett brought me to Huntsville on a contract basis. Sometimes I wish maybe I should have kept that agreement. I don't ever want to go back, but it was, I was driving back and forth from Georgetown 2.5 hours, 3 hours to call games and then driving back. And I think in this industry, now that I've seen the bigger picture, I think it is better for sports guys to kind of remain as a subcontractor, because it does make things a little bit easier as far as the journey goes. But I give credit to Steve. And then, boy, for sure, Dave Donahue. Dave wanted to bring me here full time, and I still talk to Dave probably once a month. And whenever you have folks like that in your life, you need to just embrace them and be thankful for them, and thankful for folks that I've had the journey to work with, such as you, Garrick, over the years. So I guess that's kind of my message. I know I'm rambling on, but it's really important, again, just to always remember those that have came before you. And all of this, and I'm saying, I am very, very blessed, Garrick, that I have really gotten to know Cooter here in this community. And Cooter Roberson is an icon. Somebody once said, "Oh, you're the voice of who?" I said, "Man, I'm not the voice of anything. It's the voice of this community, in my opinion, is and for always and always will be Cooter Roberson." And I've been so thankful to get to know him. He and I go to lunch once a month or so. And whenever you said earlier, that there's guys that have been calling games for a long time that have never got to experience something as a national championship. I remember talking to Brian Adams, and right before that game, I told him, and Brian's so humble too. And I remember telling Brian, I said, "You know what, man, we need to pause real quick and not get wrapped up in the excitement of being able to call this game." I said, "Because do you realize that there was a gentleman that sat in this seat for 39 years in this community that he would give anything to be here right now?" And I remember telling Brian that, and Brian and he and I are on the same level, man, as far as that goes, of just being humble and thankful. And I'll never forget that we just stopped and we actually said a prayer and just said, "Lord, thank you for this privilege to be here today." Because there's a lot of deserving people way, way more than us that should be here right now. And I'll never forget that, man. I remember that specifically right before that game. Brian and I were talking about that and said a prayer about it. So I wanted to give Cooter a big shout out because, he's a tremendous man. He's done a lot for this community, and he is and forever will be, in my opinion, the voice of this community, the voice of our high school, and the voice of Sam Houston. He is going to be that person that's remembered for generations to come.
He even lended his voice off air, because he would even do PA announcing for baseball and softball games for the university. I was lucky enough in my first tenure when I was here at Huntsville. There was a weekend game that he could not do, and so the university was talking to the radio station on who could do it, and I was so lucky that Brooke was like, "Hey, Garrick will go do it," and I was like, "Heck yeah, Garrick will go do it." So I got to be the PA announcer for 3 Sam Houston baseball games, and it was like living a dream. I even remember at the time, Coach Gary Kubiak had come up from Houston to come watch the baseball game, because at the time, I can't remember if it was his nephew or his son, but he had a family member on the team coaching. And so he came up to watch, and I remember sitting there doing my PA announcements, but just looking down to the left, just be like, "There's Coach Gary Kubiak,"
Yeah.
And this was in the height of Texans football when they were doing well, Matt Schaub, Andre Johnson, right before the Letterman jacket issue, so, but, no, he's done so much, and he's one of those guys who just did not get to experience what that championship game would be, and it would have been a masterful call.
Oh, yeah.
He would have set a line at the very end whenever the Hornets won or whenever the Bearcats won, that it would have gone down in history. So no, you're absolutely right. So let's talk about the future and what you have planned for Hello Huntsville. But also, are you going to be calling any games this fall?
Yeah, man. I've got to be. I honestly, for me, it's I don't know, man. Everybody has their thing that they have to do in life, and for me, I have to be in a broadcast booth. That's just my passion, man. And I don't care at what level. People are people at any level. Doesn't matter if It's just like I'll take it back. Not preaching, but I'll take it back to Scripture, where Jesus came for the one. We each can have a relationship with Him individually, and so I think at any level, man, for me, and so. I've reached out to the folks at New Waverly and excited I'll be broadcasting New Waverly this year and bringing some much needed exposure to those young people in that community, a great community. We always say that New Waverly is part of Huntsville, still here in Walker County as well. And so excited to work with Coach Schaub and those fine folks there at New Waverly. So I'm looking forward to that. And then as far as the college booth, I'm still working on a few things, and eventually I think some doors are going to open up with some other programs around this area possibly. So we've been reaching out, and I've actually had some folks reach out. I had a college from Georgia reach out asking me if I was interested, and we came back for a reason.
A little far.
And if I was in my mid-20s and single and didn't have a family, I would have Fargo. I'd be there for 20 years. Let's be honest, I wouldn't have left. But life changes when you have children and family, and I think that's the most important thing. And so, yeah, for me, that's going to be the game plan now, is just covering folks and those young people at New Waverly and bringing some exposure and trying to build a program there on the video side, like what we brought to Huntsville ISD. And, I'm glad to see that that's continuing on, and those guys are going to do a good job with that. So, man, yeah, just doing that. And, if something doesn't materialize for Saturdays this fall, then maybe I'll be at some games finally. I'll be able to take the fam and enjoy some games. But it's a weird feeling, man. I've just got to be in the booth because I've been doing it now for 10 years, Garrick. And if I'm not in there on a Friday or a Saturday, it's just going to be a really weird feeling. So I definitely, I've got a lot of gas left in the tank, man. And I don't want that tank to go empty. We'll put it that way.
No, you get that little bit of an itch, be like, oh man, I really should be out there. It's like, put me in, coach. Put me in, coach.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
Well,
and then go for it.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier too about this platform, and again, I want to say a big thank you to Dave Donahue, because I had this idea several years ago. We did this in Georgetown called Hello Georgetown. I didn't start it. There was a couple in Georgetown that started Hello Georgetown, and we had the opportunity to purchase that organization during COVID, and so that opened up some ideas just for me to be involved more in that community where I grew up. And when we came to Huntsville, I always kind of had this on the back burner, and I talked to Dave about it, and Dave said, I want you to keep that for yourself, because he goes, I think that that's something incredible. And he goes, I want you to own that. And I appreciate that. That went a long way with me, because when you think about, people lifting each other up and being genuine and being honest, we knew that there was a lot of potential for this platform to really promote good happening in the community. And that's what we're doing. But I'm very thankful to Dave, because he said, hey, I want you to hold on to that. That's yours. You hold on to that. And when the timing is right, then something will happen. And, it's kind of funny how words happen, because the timing is right. And here it is.
Listen, Dave's an incredible man. So I was lucky to be there just part-time basis. I was doing it for fun on the side of my full-time job at the time. And he was an awesome dude to work for. He was just like you, always had the positivity, always looking on the bright side of it. And he was a real people person. He listened, he understood. And so he's definitely a great man. It's unfortunate that his family emergency took him away from Huntsville, because I definitely think he would have made a huge impact within this community. So, but talk to me about I'm going to butcher this, and I'm going to get it wrong, and I already know it, but it's Rays of Sunshine
Rays
that
of
you are
Hope.
putting on. Rays of Hope. See, I knew it.
That's all right.
I had Ray Hernandez in my ear. This guy, listen, he's a jokester. If he is going to a place that specifically like calls out your name when your order's ready, he will say Ray of Sunshine. Just so that way when they call out his order, like his coffee order, Ray of Sunshine, he's like, that's me. That's me. He's just smiling,
You and I don't have one of those names where we could, I guess like off the hip. That's the only thing I've got, and Garrick, you could be the long shot, but that doesn't sound, uplifting.
No, but you would have to know my last name is Long to even know that. So, quick, funny story. Okay, so my name's Garrick. It's Garrick. It is completely unique. I've grown up being called Garrett my whole life. I don't want to say people are lazy, but they say what they're used to, right? And so we were going through a drive-through last week, and the guys and they asked for your name through the PA, and I'm like, it's Garrick. He's like, Garrett? I was like, no, it's Garrick. It's like Derek, but put a G in the front. And he was like, he goes, he said Jarek. Like he put like a hard pronunciation on the G. and made it sound like a J. It's like Jarek. I spent 5 minutes with this guy trying to get my name right. And then when we find your double T, by the way, they would say they would be Garrett. But then when we finally got to the first window, he was like, "Hey, Jarek." I was like, "No, come on, man." So, but no, it's something I've grown up my whole life with, that I've come to know that people just don't get my name right, and when they do, I light up. I light up. So, but fun fact, my name was actually my mother's maiden name. So Garrick was my mother's last name. So
Yeah, we were trying to figure out a way, to honor my dad through Caden, and my dad's middle name was Malcolm, so that's where the name Caden Malcolm comes into play. So he should be making his grand entrance around 1:30 today, and man, it's great. That's the thing too, Garrick. Maybe that's the message this morning for somebody out there: is just don't take life for granted. We're not promised tomorrow. The only thing that we're guaranteed is this moment right now, as I'm speaking these words. 5 seconds from now, we're not guaranteed. And so today, just really think about those things as you're surrounding yourself with others. And maybe you're in a hardship right now financially, maybe career wise, things aren't going the way that you were hoping for, but make a list mentally. And I guarantee you that list of things that you have versus what you don't will far outweigh that list of what you don't. And that's so important, man, as we go on. And it's something that, I speak a lot of this, Garrick, because I myself need to remember that. Just because I speak a lot of positivity doesn't mean that I'm, walking around smiling all the time and things are going rosy. No, it's because I think the more that we speak those things into our life, the more that they'll come to fruition. So just as you're getting up this morning, be thankful, man. Like I'm hearing my little baby Braylon in the background cry right now. She hasn't been feeling.
I just heard her.
Yeah,
She's got some lungs.
Yeah, she does. She hasn't been feeling too well the past few days. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, this is a bad time for her not to feel well. And we're about to have the baby today. But you know what? We have family in town this weekend and here through this week. Her mom's here, her dad. And so, again, be thankful for all the great things. And that's what I love about Huntsville, because we have so many people around us that we can be thankful for.
So your family's in Georgetown. Have your mom and dad already drove in? Are they already here waiting for you? Or are they going to come in a little bit later?
No, they'll come. My mom will come later. My father doesn't. He's unfortunately in a nursing facility, so he doesn't get out hardly at all. And that was the main reason whenever we found out we were having Kate, and I've said this numerous times, and just for folks that are joining, like, why would you give up that opportunity where you were at? It's family. We have a support system here, and there's a lot of people that mean a lot to us down here. And so my mother's getting older. She it's hard for her to get around and travel. She probably wouldn't have only been able to come up maybe once every couple of years up there where we were at. And so, we've already seen my mom probably 5 or 6 times here in the last two or 3 months. So, but yeah, Bridget's parents are here. And then here in the next couple of weeks, my mom and sister will probably come up for a little bit. So, yeah, it's great, man. You got to have that support system to keep on rolling. Garrick, while we're talking too, I was just thinking, because I was like, man, I don't want to give up on things that we've been doing here on the show. And I know things are a little bit different this week, and I appreciate you stepping up, and it's going to be great the rest of this week. But we are still going to have a prize. We're going to have a text in, and you don't have to worry about calling people, Garrick, but I'm going to tell folks, be on the lookout.
I'll do it.
It may not be today, obviously, but later on this week, be on the lookout. We're going to put a keyword out there on social media, and Hello Huntsville is going to donate. And we're going to have a grand prize giveaway on Friday. And we are going to give away a $50 Visa gift card to your choosing. And Garrick, if you got anything you want to toss in, or anybody else out there that wants to toss in to the grand prize on Friday, we will put it up on social media, and we'll still have a giveaway. And so I don't want to give up on the prizes, man. That's always a big deal on this show.
Yeah. You know what? So those lovely, beautiful, gorgeous orange shirts that Rick and Kay got, I guarantee I've got another one in the back I can drop in the hat. So add that to the bucket, sir. Add that to the bucket.
Hey, you mentioned the rays of hope earlier, and I did want to circle back to that. It's going to be a really awesome event for the community to get involved in. We are going to be working with several area nonprofits, including HISD, and I'm going to leave out one. I know I am, because I don't have the list in front of me. But
Always
HISD
happy.
Social Services, Tomorrow's Promise Montessori Schools. We're going to be helping out Safe House and also Good Shepherd Mission. I've also reached out to the Pregnancy Care Center. So 5 organizations that we are looking forward to working with the community to help benefit. And so we're getting a list together of needs that those organizations have. It's going to happen. Mark your calendars. Saturday, July the 29th, final Saturday of the month from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the HEB parking lot here in Huntsville. Shout out to Zach, store director, for allowing us. When I was at the radio station, we had a vision to move the mass drive that the station had from Shenanigans parking lot over to HEB, and so I worked there with Vicky when she was there, and we were able to make that happen. And so we have that relationship, and really excited that we're going to be doing a summer fundraiser. And again, it's Saturday, July the 29th. So mark your calendars. And we'll have more information coming up here later this week about what items will be needed. But all you got to do is drive through, donate items. Here's the cool thing. We're going to have our inaugural Rays of Hope t-shirts. So those are going to be really cool. We're going to be giving those away. We're going to be including goodie bags to anyone who donates as well. So we've got at least 200 of these shirts. We're going to have 200 of these bags. And so as you donate items and drive through, we'll take cash as well. PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, whatever you have. We'll be able to take cash donations as well, and we're going to bless those organizations with some cash as well. But again, you'll get a t-shirt based on certain criteria. We'll have goodie bags, and Elliot's Jewelers, our presenting sponsor for the Rays of Hope, he has stepped up huge and said, Rob, why don't we do an hourly raffle? And so we've already given away some jewelry on the show. Well, guess what? Elliot has more jewelry that he wants to give away. And so every hour for every person that comes by and donates a certain amount of items, and we'll put the full details on the website, but you will be entered in a raffle, an hourly raffle, to win jewelry from Elliot's Jewelers. I think that is incredible. He had the idea. He said, let's really find a way to help out the community as they're going to be helping us to bless these nonprofits. So we'll be going live every hour. The morning show, of course, it's on a Saturday, so we won't have a show, but we will be going live on social media every single hour with different community partners. If you're a nonprofit, we'd still love to be able to highlight you on the show, but we have selected those 5 nonprofits that we're going to be working with. If you're a business and you want to get involved, we've got a lot of opportunities for you to sponsor. I mean, sponsorship as low as $150. That can get you an opportunity to put stuff in those goodie bags. And so, it's going to be a lot. And again, as this week goes on, of course, big news for us, and I'll be focused on the baby. But as time allows, you can't just sit in a hospital and sit there all day. You got to be there for your family and your child. But, there's going to be some opportunities where I'm just sitting there. So there'll be a few things I'll be putting out. Content may not be as thick and heavy as it normally is, but we'll be putting that out. And so would love for folks to get involved. Really excited about this donation drive-through fundraiser that will be taking place at the HEB parking lot.
Listen, man, that's going to be exciting, and it's a good thing you're doing it right before move-in weekend, because if not, that HEB parking lot would be a madhouse. So it is 7:49 on my end, sir. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up with a nice, tight little bow. I have to get my store open for the day, for the business. We received 5 pallets worth of textbooks on Friday. So We're going to be going through tons of textbooks from here on out. We're getting ready for those incoming college students. So, but
hey, before we go, can I let everybody know what the national day of today is, Garrick? Today,
I have no clue. Did you put that in the email, sir?
I did not, man. This is something I throw in here sometimes on the show. It is International Town Criers Day. What is that?
Is that like the guys who are like, heary?
It is. Today, International Town Criers Day. It honors loud people who announce the news by using a bell, making proclamation to townspeople. Garrick, will you please dress up today in like an old 1700s wig and, one of those long coats, and have a bell and go, hear ye, hear ye. Please, Garrick.
No, because then I feel like I have to get like a Friar Tuck haircut. And truthfully, man, I know you can't tell it from here, but I'm already thinning as it is. I'm too young to have thin hair. I can't afford to cut it so short and then it not come back. But also, I got another one for you. It is National Kitten Day.
Oh no.
So
Keep your cats.
keep a lookout for all the cuteness of the kittens. And this would have been perfect for Karen because she is an absolute cat lover. So it's National Kitten Day as well.
Speaking of that, I know you got to get going, Garrick, but I do have to show something here because you mentioned it. And you know what? I love cats when they're other people's cats. But there you go. There's my little one. And Google is really cool because it automatically makes stuff for you. Braylon has 3 of these little Beanie Baby kittens, and she sets them up. She did this by herself, and she was kissing her kittens. So she will enjoy National Kitten Day on the day that she gets to become a big sister.
Excellent, man. So, well, awesome. Listen, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to step into your shoes. I've got huge shoes to fill because honestly, man, you're one of a kind. So thank you for creating this platform. Thank you for creating the positivity and goodness that everybody gets to get on a morning basis. So I'm happy to be here for you to do this in your time of need because truly, once again, you came back to Huntsville for family. Your family's growing. It's all about family. It's like it's Fast and the Furious here. It's all about family, man.
Yeah.
But no, enjoy your day. Don't worry about this for the rest of the week. I do hope that you'll chime in and text in a couple of comments. I'll put them on the screen. But listen, I'm a father of 2. You're hours away from being a father of 2. It's the right number. I'm just saying it's the right number. You don't have to go past that. But just enjoy it. Truly, just enjoy it because it is one of the most beautiful blessings that you can come across. So
Well, I appreciate it, Garrick. Looking forward to the rest of this week. And again, a big thank you to Walker County Federal Credit Union. I know Karen couldn't be here this morning with us, but she did chime in earlier. And so we wouldn't be able to bring you the show. And Garrick bringing the show this week on a Monday, thanks to Walker County Federal Credit Union. Appreciate you, Garrick, man. I'm looking forward to the rest of this week, but no offense, I'm looking forward to 1:30 this afternoon.
I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you. Hey, you want to send us out? Because that's the one thing we didn't necessarily talk about. How do you end this show? How do you end
end it
it? How
however
does
you want,
Roger
man.
end this?
You end it however you want, Garrick. Everybody has their own, but the way that I'll always end it is, friends, want to remind you this morning that we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other. Provide a word of encouragement. Lend a hand of support. Somebody out there needs you. Good morning, Huntsville. God bless. Garrick will be rolling it all week long. Chime in, give him a hard time, and be on the lookout again for that prize that is coming up. We'll have it on social media. You'll be able to text in the keyword starting tomorrow. Thanks, Garrick.
Hey, no problem. Have a good day. And then we can't wait to see that beautiful blessing later on. Y'all have a great day. Have a positive day. Make sure to give everybody give high fives. It really brings a brightness to a person's face when you just give them a random high five. Be like, hey, you've earned this. So y'all have a great day. Thank you for chiming in, and I'll see you all this morning. Y'all have a great day.